Hey, I have something to say right now, okay? So I told you I've been watching CNN a whole lot lately. You've been watching? All right. I've been watching them way too much, I think, because they've invited me to their Christmas party. But now, I don't know if you saw this, but Vice Presidential candidate Governor Sarah Palin says that she's in favor of a federal ban on gay marriage. Basically, she wants to change the Constitution. So if you're wondering, I'm sure you are, how I feel about this, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't agree. Look, and maybe it's because I'm gay that I think we should all be equal, but I feel that we're all equal. And I don't know what people are scared of. Maybe they think that their children will be influenced. And I gotta say, I was raised by two heterosexuals. I was surrounded by heterosexuals. Just everywhere I looked, heterosexuals. And they did not influence. I mean, I dabbled in high school. Who didn't? But everyone dabbled, you know? But I think people are going to be who they're going to be, and we need to learn to love them for who they are and let them love who they want to love. There! That's that!
Constitutional marriage amendment, real quick. Are you for? Are you for something like that?
I am in my own state. I have voted along with the vast majority of Alaskans who had the opportunity to vote to amend our Constitution defining marriage as between one man and one woman. I wish on a federal level that that's where we would go, because I don't support gay marriage. I certainly can express my own opinion here and take actions that I believe would be best for traditional marriage, and that's casting my votes and speaking up for traditional marriage. That instrument that it's the foundation of our society is that strong family, and that's based on that traditional definition of marriage.
Do you support granting same-sex benefits to couples?
Well, not if it goes closer and closer towards redefining the traditional definition of marriage between one man and one woman, and unfortunately that's sometimes where those steps lead. But I will tell Americans straight up that I don't support defining marriage as anything but between one man and one woman, and I think through nuances we could go round and round about what that actually means, but I'm being as straight up with Americans as I can in my non-support for anything but a traditional definition of marriage.
Many want to know more about her resume. The details of her tenure as mayor and governor are still coming into focus. And this morning we have new information on one battle she waged as mayor of Wasilla, a battle that brought her toe-to-toe with a local librarian over which books were appropriate and which were not, something her critics say crossed the line into censorship. Our chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross has the details. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Robin. As the mayor of the town of Wasilla, Sarah Palin raised questions about removing books in the public library and then tried to fire the town librarian. She says the two were not connected. Sarah Palin was elected the mayor of Wasilla in 1996 with the strong backing of her church, the Wasilla Assembly of God.
It wasn't just simply a matter of her using the religious right to get elected. She was one of them.
Palin has since changed churches, but Assembly of God ministers are well known in Wasilla for taking strong positions on moral issues, including this recent sermon by the current pastor.
Everybody in the world has a guilty conscience. That's why homosexuals want laws of the land to justify their sin, because they have a guilty conscience.
Around the time Palin became mayor, the church and other conservative Christians began to focus on certain books available in local stores and in the town library, including one called Go Ask Alice and another written by a local pastor, Howard Bess, called Pastor I Am Gay.
This whole thing of controlling, information, censorship, yeah, that's a part of the scene.
Not long after taking office, Palin raised the issue at a city council meeting of how books might be banned, according to news accounts and a local resident, a Democrat, who was there.
Mayor Palin asked the librarian, what is your response if I ask you to remove some books from the collection of the Wasilla Public Library?
The Wasilla librarian, Mary Ellen Edmonds, the then president of the Alaska Library Association, responded with only a short hesitation.
The librarian took a deep breath and said, "The books in the collection were purchased in accordance with national standards and professional guidelines, and I would absolutely not allow you to remove any books from the collection."
A few weeks after the council meeting, the mayor fired the librarian, although she was reinstated after a community uproar.
You'd like to hope that elected officials understand the role of the librarian in democracy, that is, to provide access to information to everybody in the community.
The Wasilla librarian, Mary Ellen Edmonds, left 2 years later, and according to friends, because it was just too hard working for Sarah Palin. In a conversation with me yesterday, she acknowledged her treatment by Palin had been very rough. "I just don't care to revisit that time of my life," she told me. Robin?
I'm sure, Brian, you know there's so much out there on the internet, and much of the information is wrong. In fact, in response to your story right there, the McCain campaign sent out this 3 pages to us, and they're trying to shoot down as much as they can. In fact, there was on the internet about a long list of books. That just wasn't true.
That's not true. That long list of books that some may have seen on the internet, that's simply made up. That was not part of this discussion. The mayor did raise the question of how to get books off the shelf. If people were picketing the library, would you take books off the shelf? The librarian was offended by that, as were members of the Alaska Library Association, who to this day remain very wary of Sarah Palin.
All right. Thank you for separating fact from fiction. All right, Brian, thanks so much.
Well, when we were there was one little controversy that was brewing that the pastor was trying to explain to us about gays in some sort of meeting in Anchorage. Do you know about that at all, what that controversy was?
Yeah, I think there was an insert in the church's bulletin one Sunday that had advertised a seminar that was being conducted at another church in Anchorage, and it had to do with those who wanted some assistance or some kind of counseling in dealing with any struggles that they would have regarding homosexuality. And it was a seminar that was advertised at the church, and yep, that drew quite a bit of scrutiny during the presidential campaign, because people looked at that and wanted to spin that into something that it was not. And yeah, that was a bit of the scrutiny and attention that the Wasilla Bible Church has received.
Well, are gays welcome at your church in Wasilla, the one that was burned?
Absolutely, of course, yes. In fact, the pastors and leadership at that church, they are quite open in terms of welcoming people into the church and assisting anyone who desires assistance or counseling or help. That's what this church is all about. Wasilla Bible Church, along with so many of the other churches in Wasilla and in Alaska, are very, very good, very, again, biblically based, and not intolerant or judgmental, just welcoming people of all walks of life.
Sarah Palin was elected the mayor of Wasilla in 1996 with the strong backing of her church, the Wasilla Assembly of God.
It wasn't just simply a matter of her using the religious right to get elected. She was one of them.
Palin has since changed churches, but Assembly of God ministers are well known in Wasilla for taking strong positions on moral issues, including this recent sermon by the current pastor.
Everybody in the world has a guilty conscience. That's why homosexuals want laws of the land to justify their sin, because they have a guilty conscience.
She took issue with news reports that one of them, the Wasilla Bible Church, sponsored a conference where gays could be made straight through prayer.
When the media gets it wrong, it frustrates Americans who are just trying to get the facts and be able to make up their mind on about a person's values. And you know, I don't know what prayers are worthy of being prayed, and I don't know what prayers are going to be answered or not answered. But as for homosexuality,
it is obviously important to all of us that homosexual marriage does not become the law of the land. Let me tell you that for every logical argument we can bring to show that it's a very bad idea, the other side, spreading the stain of secular socialism, will bring 3 better arguments that it's a very good idea, and then it's simply our argument against theirs.
It turns out that you have to go into rehab if you use the word faggot. So
Come on, girl.